We're joined now by the new Liberal leader, Peter Dutton. Good morning to you. Congratulations.
Good morning, Lisa. Thank you.
Good to have you on the program. We were just talking about you wanting to see people see this other side of you. Based on your opening salvos yesterday, it looks like you're up for a fight, though.
Well, it's a contest of ideas, and we believe very passionately, both sides of politics, right across the board, in our fundamental values, our beliefs, and what we see as the future of this country, the opportunities, the risks, and the threats. So you would expect it to be a contest of ideas, and we'll argue that very passionately.
Right. What is the softer side that people haven't been getting then?
Look, I've had tough jobs in government. I was a Home Affairs Minister. We deported something like 6,000 people who had committed sexual offences against women and children, murderers, people that had committed serious crimes otherwise. And as Defence Minister, I've made tough decisions. And when you're up talking about those issues, it's pretty hard to crack into a smile or a joke or whatever. So people see you through the grabs on television, in the nightly news as a serious character. In this portfolio, or in this job now, I have the opportunity to talk more broadly about issues which are important to our country. I want to do a lot for families. I want to do a lot for small businesses, for those micro businesses, people that have really been hurting over the course of COVID. I want to grow Australian jobs and manufacturing, and there's a lot that's going to happen over the next 3 years in terms of the economy. The international economic headwinds are going to be very significant. So there will be many debates that I can show the complete character of who I am, and I want people to make judgments on what they see, not what they believe from some of the media interpretation or some of the online trolling and commentary.
Well, some of the interpretation came from things from your past, the joke on open mic about the Pacific Islands and the rising water levels, boycotting the national apology, suggesting the Billa Wheeler family had anchor babies, all of those things, and I know you've addressed some of them in the past, but that is adding to the view that people have formed about you.
Well, Lisa, I've been in public life for 20 years, and as I say, I've had those tough jobs, but I've also been able to, make decisions in the immigration space, for example. Hundreds of cases, literally, where I acted compassionately on the facts. I looked at particular family circumstances, and I was able to grant those people visas. And I get letters from kids and from families who are grateful. The Yazidi women that we brought in, who were being, slaughtered, raped, enslaved by ISIL. We went in and deliberately sought those women out. They're now wonderful Australians. So the Syrians that we brought in, the people that we lifted out of Afghanistan, in over 4,000 people, and in some cases you have to make tough calls. I mean, that's you'll see that in this government as well. The people smugglers package up all of the comments that we make as ministers. They're evil people. They trade in sex slaves, they trade in gun parts, in all sorts of commodities otherwise, illicit drugs and human beings. And I didn't want to see people drowning at sea, and I'd made tough decisions in relation to that. I've made some poor taste jokes like any person over the years, and I've apologised for that. I'm as human and as frail as anybody else, and there are decisions that I've made that I think have been tough, but in our country's best interests, and that's the job of being a minister.
Do you still think that sending the Billa Wheeler family back to Billa Wheeler is a signal to people smugglers?
Lisa, I think the government has got to take the advice from the experts. As I say, you're dealing with organised criminal syndicates. These people couldn't care less whether the Billa Wheeler family made it to Australia or drowned at sea. And I just never want to see that return. As Immigration Minister, I got every child out of detention. I brought those women, as I say, to safety. We had a situation where ministers before me had all received calls at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning about people who were drowning at sea, boats that had listed. I've spoken to sailors and Australian Defence Force personnel who are still suffering from PTSD today because they were responding to those bodies in the water. I never had one of those phone calls on my watch, and I never want a future minister to have those calls either. So you had to make those tough decisions. But as I say, the flip side of that portfolio is that you're able to. I'm very passionate about safety of women and children, and I made a deliberate strategy in cancelling the visas of those people that had committed crimes against multiple victims, and I didn't want future victims to fall prey to their depraved activities. And I think, there's a lot that you can do in those jobs, good decisions, tough decisions, and whoever the Immigration Minister or the Home Affairs Minister is in the Albanese government will be faced with those same facts, and they'll have to respond accordingly.
You were pretty dismissive yesterday about the Greens and the Teals making it into Parliament, but a record 1 in 3 Australians didn't vote for major parties. Why do you think it's a protest vote and not something that's more permanent?
Lisa, I think, frankly, there was a pox on both your houses at this election. I think when you look at many of the seats where Labor's primary vote went backwards, they lost a seat to the Greens here in Queensland. The prospect of other seats elsewhere, it wasn't a great night out for Anthony Albanese because people thought that he wasn't quite up to it. Now
it was the worst night out for you guys.
Prove people wrong, and well, no question about that. As I say, a pox on both your houses, so plenty of lessons to learn. We've got to have significant policies, and we'll have that in the run-up to this election in 2025.
Can you
we'll
win
have
that election?
Significant points of difference between us and Labor. Yes, we can.
You win, but can you win it if you don't win back those Teal seats, though? Don't you need to win back those inner city seats?
Well, of course we do. There's no seat that won't be a target for us. On some early analysis I was given earlier in the week that about 200,000 Australians voted for Teal candidates. At the other end of the spectrum, about 700,000 people left the coalition to vote for parties on the right. So that's why I've said the Liberal Party is not the Conservative Party, it is not the Moderate Party, it's not the Conservative Moderate Party, it is the Liberal Party. We're a party that will stand up for our country on many issues, including national security, including the economy, including sensible climate change policy, and we'll do that in a way that's sustainable. And I think this government is going to make mistakes. They're already walking away from key commitments. Mr Albanese looked the Australian working class people in the eye saying that he would support a 5.1% increase in their wages, and he stepped back from that. Sneakily, last Friday afternoon, when most people were going home from work, he released a statement to say that he wasn't going to support that, the first major broken promise. And that was an absolute promise that he made to the people during the campaign. They're now saying, Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer, and their Finance Minister as well, saying that they can't get the figures to balance already. Well, they had the figures in PFO and in the Charter of Budget Honesty. They knew the figures that they were inheriting, and they're trying to make trying to step away from that. And I think it's going to be tough under Labor over the next few years. I think electricity prices are going to go up significantly, and it's going to be a very difficult environment for business over the next few years. And the Liberal Party will always be better at managing the budget and the economy, and we'll demonstrate that over the next 3 years.
OK, well, the voters made their choice, and so we'll see what happens. Peter Dutton, thank you.
Indeed. Thanks, Lisa. Thank you.